Hey, so I'm here with Mark Rasmus, Sifu Mark Rasmus. He's one of the premier intelligences and people with Tai Chi in the world. He's a Qigong master, he's a Neigong master, he is a master of Hermetics. I mean, the list goes on. Like, so Sifu Mark Rasmus, nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Been years. Big fan of you personally. Um, and yeah, if you could just introduce yourself, I try to do the best of it, but
Okay, so my background's in Hermetics. I started in Japanese martial arts and got into Chinese martial arts and Muay Thai and dabbled in MMA. Um, but my love has always been the Hermetic science. And working with Hermetics is it's more of a mind game than a body game. And so I, over the years, has integrated the Hermetic science and the internal martial arts together, and created a sort of like a unique twist on it. It's broke it down in such a way that people can learn it quickly, efficiently. And pretty much my only rules with teaching people is that whatever I give you, you've got to make it better and you've got to share it with an open heart. And if you get those right, you do really well. People who are gatekeepers tend not to do very well because the heart contracts, they're closed. They can accumulate a lot of power, but the personality becomes very cultish and a lot of problems happen. So to avoid those pitfalls, if your heart's open, you'll do really well. And there's a lot of merit in sharing truth with people. And the more truth you share with people, that merit field comes back and accelerates your own learning process. So we use those basic values in teaching and hope that everyone absorbs those values and passes them on to the next generation.
that's amazing. Yeah, I've been a big fan for probably 5, 6 years now. I've been watching your videos, and you do have that air of I'm going to describe this to my utmost ability, not hide anything, and really describe everything from piece by piece by piece what's actually happening. Um, so why I am coming here is I do power slap. I'm a professional fighter, contracted under the UFC power slap. We stand and we slap each other until you get knocked out. Um, but I always thought to myself, this is where the internal arts would, I think, shine. You have 60 seconds in between. You know, you can use the chi to protect yourself, and you can use someone that's standing there and break their base.
Hmm.
Um, so I would love to learn what you have to teach, and because I was blessed enough to reach out to you, and you were able to respond to me. We're here in Thailand in Chiang Mai, beautiful, and we'll see what comes of it. So I think you have uh, maybe 90 minutes, you say, of
Yeah,
a training regimen for us.
yep, yep.
So
It'll take about that much. Might go a bit over, but we'll see. Okay, so I'll break down what I want to cover with you. The first is sensitivity, how to feel energy. Now, there's an exercise called building the ball. You've already done that exercise. Anyone who's watching can jump onto YouTube and learn it there. We'll do a shortened version of that to save a bit of time. Then that sensation, that feeling of vital energy, when you permeate it through the body, it produces what we call sung, or relaxation. The muscles hang when you're in that space. Interestingly enough, to amplify the energy, you've got to stretch the joints open and increase it, and then you've got to produce more sung and relaxation to stabilize and own it, and then you stretch a little bit more. So there's this process of relaxing and hanging the muscles, opening the joints, energy increases, and then to own that energy in a relaxed state, you've got to hang the muscles again while maintaining the sensation of energy. So we go through these phases of developing and amplifying the energy. Every time you open your joints, you're stimulating the facial web. And internal arts are about building fascia. So it's very different to what someone might call external, which is using body mechanics and strengthening the muscles to produce force. In reality, you always have to use your muscles, but developing the fascia connects more mass to the use of muscle. And Chi is just a sensation. It's just a feeling that affects your physiology. So you were just cultivating that feeling. Now, when you move your mass with that feeling, so if I tune in, take a breath, I move the energy through my body, it accelerates the movement of my mass. So the mass moves more quickly when my mind is on the frequency or the feeling of that sensation. If my mind isn't on that sensation, the mass doesn't move as easily. So it's sort of like a base feeling. What also happens through that sensation is the mind occupies more space and it's more sensitive to intention from your partner or your opponent or whoever you're working with. And that increased sensitivity allows you to be in the right place at the right time because their intention becomes more obvious. It's sort of, oh, that's what they're doing. I can feel what's happening. And that's very valuable. The only difference between let's say the top 10 fighters in the world is timing, right place, right time.
Yeah.
You know, the person with better timing will usually win. And so vital energy awareness stimulates the spirit senses and you feel more. And when you feel more, you're able to put yourself in the right place at the right time. Okay, so we go through the building the ball, and we go through joint stretching exercises. Then we have what's called power stretching. Now, power stretching is where you learn to open the joint electrically and then pluck the joint magnetically. So you use pulling muscles to open and pushing muscles to open the joints. And that switching, it not only releases energy around the joint so you feel more, but when you switch between electric and magnetic, you get a pulse of energy, an amplification of energy through your field. And the spirit senses go, ah, that's it. And then your body recognizes it, and we put it into whatever body mechanics you want to use. From there, we go into some power exercise for throwing. So we're basically tuning to energy stretch and throw. So you get that elasticity in your body. And then once you have the basic throwing exercise in place, then you start moving more weight through the throw. A person needs to have built their joints up when they start throwing their weight because it puts a huge amount of stress across the joint. But what happens when you do that is your joints build a lot of power very, very, very quickly because they're forced to. Your body weight moving at high speed across the joint, your joints start to hurt like hell. Eat lots of beef tendon, chicken wings, whole small fish, and get your joint food, and your joints start building. It takes about 3 years to build the fascia of the body to a very high level, but you'll notice just the connections. Within a few weeks, you'll start getting increased striking power. Then it's a matter from there to look at what is the mechanical model you want to generate power through. So you're doing the slapping. When we're doing a slap, we do it a little bit different to the traditional wind up. And the reason why we want to do it differently is we want to use torque or rotation to sort of like a towel. You twist it, and as you twist it, energy stores through the twist. And it stimulates all the muscles in the fascia as we wrap. So you'll start with it, and then you circle and strike. And you could do it all the way from the back. And that spiral, even though you're not going to hit someone that way, you're going to build power that way. You can use whatever mechanic you want later because you have more connection. So we use these rotational forces to rip the body weight and into the hands, so you have your body weight arriving on your hand. But we want to use these spirals. So we refine it to your use case and then look at ways of training Fa Jin under these different conditions. So let's say if you jump up for me. So let's say I want to train a force this way. When I touch base, and then I just want to relax and scoop the energy. And I'm connecting my hip to there. I'm touching your base, feeling underneath your body, and then relaxing and scooping it. And then you give me more weight. So you push onto it, and then I take that weight and I put it on my fascia. So it creates a rebounding effect. And then as the physical connections are strong, I can use pure fascia. And then as those connections reduce, I just use energy. And from there, then I want to go, how do I bang my body weight through the slab? So that mechanic, I grab a seat, that mechanic's most probably one of the most relevant ways of producing energy on that plane. We scoop down a little bit because as you drop, you're going to want to load and then torque and spin the energy. In application, you don't need to do that, but in training power, you do, because the wrapping effect stimulates more of the fascia. Okay, so and then we go to that, and then we do a series of exercises for finding center of gravity, finding base, and learning how to touch the center of balance, because all your strikes want to touch straight on the balance. And you go through this tuning process. So you'll notice the first touch, when I put my hands on, I was inside, really stretching into you to find your center. By the third, fourth, fifth touch, it's like, oh, there's the energy. I can find the center and I can just put my energy onto the center without the need for that intense physical connection. So it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And the process you want to look at with developing a high skill is how quickly can you tune into someone's center of balance without touching them. Because you'll notice it took me 3-4 touches. There it is.
Yeah.
And then I knew where your balance was. Martially, if someone's going to throw a punch at you, the moment you touch them, you've got to own the balance and go, oh, got him, and then do your drill, whatever you're going to do. So I'm not a martial artist. I'm a meditator. I trained martial arts my whole life, but it wasn't in my heart, really. I always felt that the martial arts community needed a spiritual framework to develop the internal arts. So my mind is focused on being a better teacher than a better martial artist. And someone who enjoys the spirit of competition and really loves to train that edge, they're going to produce something totally different to what I do. My mind is completely tuned into insider understanding, where a fighter is just completely tuned into the science of how to produce more power, more sensitivity, and how to build themselves up, not to build others. Most fighters will move from working on themselves to working on others with age, because they simply can't. Once a person hits 40, you start feeling the body, taking a lot longer to heal and recover and all that stuff. All right, so, and then we finish off the session with a little bit of esoteric psychology, a little bit of releasing methods, because when you build energy, it will try and come out of your body. And it comes out through your weaknesses. It takes the cracks. So it'll come out through your black and white mirror, usually the black side of the mirror, not the white side. And you got to fix that as quickly as possible. So all these shadows, you've got to identify them. Energy is going to go through them. How can you remain balanced, calm, and a decent human being while training internal art? So we finish with that, and a little bit of the metaphysical science, the framework of the bodies, the matrices, how everything connects, what these energies are, and so forth. Because once you have a grasp of that, you'll find it's easier to train when you can see the whole picture. So if, let's say, you're training, and the first exercise, initiation text, is a type of mindfulness. You watch your thoughts arise and fall away, and you separate the consciousness from the thoughts, from the body. Your mind starts occupying more space, and you get a recognition. Oh, I'm not this body. I'm not these feelings. I'm not these thoughts. I am consciousness, pure fabric awareness. So the mindfulness, when it moves into that state, if, let's say, you're training martial skill, you'll do that exercise. So let's say you do a repetitive loop drill. Partner throws a jab, you parry, you throw a punch back, and you go into a loop. And then as you're looping, you occupy more space with your mind. You observe what's happening. You observe, here comes the punch. Oh, there's the intention. The energy is feeling different and changing. He's going from a jab to a hook. And you start reading the feeling, and it's an intuitive knowing of what's coming. It's a bit like walking down the street and there's a pothole. You don't even have to look at the pothole. You know it's there and you just move around it. You don't give it much thought. Your unconscious navigates. And so this mindfulness builds an unconscious ability to read your environment, read your opponent, and get better timing. So we take the overall picture, and then each exercise, we contextualize the exercise for the overall picture and your goal. If you know the whole training framework and your goals are very clear, every exercise will take on the flavor of your goal. It'll prep the causation chain for you to achieve the result that you want. If you don't have a clear goal and don't have a clear framework of how to get it, then each exercise won't adjust and individualize itself for your goal. So how you journal that, how you define it. I like to put a big mind map on the wall of what I'm doing. And that mind map allows me to confirm my destination, confirm my method of getting there. It checks on how much practice I do. I write down I did 2 hours today, 5 hours today, 7 hours another day, what exercise, what result, and I graph my results. And then I can see I'm going towards my goal. There's the goal here. This is the effort, and it's improving to get there. So these are all things that allow you to get better results. Now, obviously, I normally spread this out over 10 days to a month of training to so there's obviously 100 other exercises thrown in there as well. And it all is building different facets. So what we're doing today is the essentials for what I think will increase the amount of power in the slapping method that you use.
A speed run.
Yeah, a speed run. It is a quick loop through. And I've met with people in the past, and I'm going, okay, this is an experiment. I've got 1 hour of this person. Let's see if I can get them to wake up their internal energy and got it. And it's a lot of fun to do, because it's when people give you feedback on that process, you get this, okay, I should have emphasized this more and that less on the next time you do a speed run with someone.
So you treat it like a puzzle.
Yeah.
A puzzle, helping people grow their internal ability.
Yeah, and every person is a different puzzle. So you just have to reorganize your unconscious sensitivity to what they need every time. Okay, so we'll get started. So from you want to feel your sit bones, you want to feel your crown, and you just want to gently stretch that space out. Just give it a bit more space than how you normally sit in a chair. Once you've stretched those two, then stretch from your hip to your feet. And it's sort of, you want to have the mechanical feeling that you're about to get up, but you're not getting up, but you're about to. So there's this electric line from the ball through your calf, through your quad, your lower back, chest, tricep, like I'm about to get up, and you stretch your chest upwards. And that is what we call an electric state, or an electric body alignment. So that when you're mechanically aligned that way, when you build the ball, the repelling force between your hands is increased. Your body goes into an electric state in the electromagnetic energy. Okay, so we bring the hands up in front of the navel. We breathe in. And when I breathe in, I just like to press my heel into the ground ever so slightly and just relax the weight back. And when I breathe out, I press the ball into the ground and then compress the ball. Normally, before I give this mechanic to someone, I would have them do the building the ball set a few times and then introduce this to them. But because you've already done it online, you should be fine. Now, there's a few rules with energy sensitivity. And because we're recording this for an audience, I'll just quickly go through some of those rules. Life force moves through the breath. So every time you breathe in, your body is drawing life force in, not only through your nose and mouth into your lungs, but through the pores. Your whole body is breathing. And by guiding that energy into the body and expanding the joints ever so slightly and then compressing as you breathe out, you're increasing the amount of vital energy in your body. Now, your spirit senses can't awaken if you're focused in the body. You have to actually get your mind outside the body, and that's why we build the ball. So if you put your mind in this space between your hands, as you open that space up and then compress, and then breathe into that space and visualize a ball or feel a ball, feel the idea of a ball, and compress, the spirit starts to sense energy outside of the body. A lot of people try and focus on like the dantian. That doesn't work. I know one guy, 3 hours a day of standing, focusing on dantian, 25 years later, very little sensitivity to energy, because the physiology was capturing their mind. Here, there's no physiology outside the body. So the spirit senses goes, oh, there's energy accumulating there, I'm concentrating, I'm breathing there. And that magnetic sensation starts to awaken. It's like a magnetic fluid. So I like to keep people in this space for a few minutes so they can tune into that magnetic quality. Now, as soon as you get that magnetic quality, you play with it. You just tap the hands, feel, and go, oh, if I just bounce my hands in and out, the joints get that springiness in them, and the energy in the space becomes more elastic. And then you compress it and just slowly start compressing the ball, making it smaller and compressing that elastic feeling. Condensing the breath, and you're condensing your willpower in the space between your hands. And once you get to a few inches, you just keep mentally compressing, breathing into that space, increasing that compressed spring effect. And then you can just play with it, small circles, slice the hands up and down, and see what angles of movement give them maximize sensations. Now, there's a playful attitude. Once you feel the energy, become playful with it. Just open up, like your child just playing outside, having fun. And you're playing with this energy and just allowing it to move any way it wants. You can make spirals. You can create compressed springs. You can compress a ball. You can point the fingers and run electricity between the tips. You can create all different shapes and patterns and ideas of how you want that energy to morph and move and change according to your intention of your mind. So this playfulness of the attitude frees the intention up and just allows you to be free. And when children play, they have a freedom of the body, freedom of the mind, a freedom of the feeling, which allows the spirit senses to awaken and function. So to be like a child and just be playful with the energy allows for an accelerated awareness of energy. The greater that accelerated awareness is, the faster everything comes together and faster you sync with your internal energy system and the mechanics of it. Now we're going to look at a few ideas on how to amplify that sensation. So I want you just to gently stretch your wrist open, stretch your elbow open, stretch your shoulder open, stretch the back open, hollow the chest ever so slightly, so we have a loop of connection. And then in that loop of connection, just press into the ball and stretch the joints open a little bit more, push the wrist open a bit more, elbow, and get to the point where you can feel the energy, but if you stretch any more, you'll lose the feeling. And then relax and hang the muscles while maintaining sensation of energy, and relax your mind into the sensation of energy. So more of your mind, more percentage of you is paying attention to sensations. And then play with it again. Gently hanging the muscles ever so slightly more and tuning that feeling in ever so slightly more. So with each repetition, we want to feel more, be more relaxed, more open across the joint, and more radiant in the ball and then through the rest of the body. Now, once you've done these stretches and these relaxation releases through the arms, you can do them through the spine, through the hips, the knee, ankle, all the way to the toes, and stretch from your fingers to your toes and feel that connection. Because you've got a very strong, highly connected body already, you can play with it out there very successfully. For a beginner that's watching this video, you'd hang your elbows down here where you have minimal tension, and then play with the ball closer to your belly. Then as you get more advanced, you go out a little bit, out a little bit, until you're playing with the energies outside all the way with the full bridge. Okay, well, maintaining this feeling, I just want you to circle one hand and loop it to your center line, go past the center line and let it drop, and then loop the other hand and maintain the feeling of magnetism on your hands while you do this. We're doing this sitting because you'll have more feeling while you sit. As soon as you become comfortable doing these exercises sitting, you automatically stand, you compress the hip into the foot into the ground, and you generate more energetic power as you do these exercises. Now, if let's say you're a Qigong practitioner, you might be dropping the hand in front of the belly as you sweep, dropping the hand in front of the belly. If you're a fighter, you may be having the hand guarding your face, and then you'll do a circle on a much more horizontal, higher plane, and have more sensibility in how the backhand protects as you sweep. And then you adjust these spirals to however you feel. You can adjust from under as if you're sweeping a body rip or an uppercut. You can bring them over as if you're doing an overhand. Just change the angles. The most important part of all these exercises is that you maintain this magnetic quality on the edge of your hand as you extend, to mobilize the energy, to mobilize the chi, as they call it. Now, if I move my hand too fast, you'll notice the feeling gets left behind. So the reason why Tai Chi and Qigong people do slow exercises is so they can get the timing of how fast the hand moves and the energy. So it's moving together. And I like to keep the energy in front, and I move my hand at that speed. I stretch it out. So the energy that's going up breaks the protective chi. So by the time my body weight arrives and hits, the protective chi is broken. You hit the center of balance, and you disrupt their connection between the bodies. You're always striking the center of balance. Okay, then we come back to the center. Feel the energy. Now this tree out in front of us, what I want you to do is just stretch your mind to the tree, stretch the feeling of the energy to the tree, and stretch your joints open. Just project to that tree. Then I want you to push your joints out really intensely for about 10 seconds. So power stretch, push, keep the mind stretched out, keep the energy stretched out. Keep pushing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then imagine grabbing the tree and pulling the joints open. If you're hanging on a pole, and pull your wrist open, pull your elbow open, pull your shoulder, pull your back open, pull, 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 pull. And that's about 10 seconds as well. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then relax back into the ball. Now, if you do that really intensely, it's going to have a cardiovascular draw on you. You're going to feel exhausted. It's like, oh man, that was intense. If you put in 100% in the power stretch. Initially, feeling energy is more important than the power stretch. So you stretch as much as the feeling sensation of energy remains. And then you increase the stretch as your sensitivity increases. Now you do 3, 6, 9 breaths just to relax the shoulders again. And then you do another round and you power stretch out. But this time, as we stretch, we're just going to roll to the inside through the electric line as far in as you can for about 5 seconds that way, and then rotate the other way out through the electric, pushing all the joints open. Good. And then back to center, and then magnetic. Grab the tree, pull from the tree, and pull everything open like you're hanging off it, pulling the joints open. And pull that magnetic line, and then back to center, and then vital breathing. Now in your normal routine, you'd do about 5 of each of those. The first one being just linear and the second one being rotational, rotating. And if, let's say, you're working on striking power, you would rotate into a strike and then put the strike out and then magnetically pull it back, then electrically extend and magnetically pull it back. And you'd adjust to whatever striking method you want. If you're doing an uppercut, you'd stretch through an uppercut. If you're doing an overhand, you stretch through an overhand. And you creatively push and pull the joints open through any movement where you want to develop increased fascial connection, increased power. Okay, so from there, we're going to do a couple throwing exercises. Now, the first throwing exercise is from the ball, into a bit more space, and we're just going to circle and throw. And we'll finish around a person's head. We're not going to go through, we're just going to stop in front. Back to the ball, and then the other side. Back to the ball, feel the energy, and throw. Now, initially, you're just feeling, and it's sort of like a loose floppiness, and you just connect on the end, and connect on the end. And then you pre-stretch, sort of like you're holding a kettlebell and you want to throw the kettlebell. You can't get any loose, you don't want any looseness because you'll just rip your body to pieces. So you're holding this kettlebell and you want to throw it out in that way. There's a pre-stretch and a tautness in your body. So you pre-stretch and you get that tautness in, and then you connect. And you'll notice you're a bit slower as you do that. And as you go through this throwing exercise, always remember, come back to the feeling. You're throwing the feeling. And then you stand up and you do it a little bit bigger. And now we make it a little bigger. So you pull behind and you have your hand like this. Then you stretch to bring it out. What that does, that stretch, you'll notice that torquing increases wrapping and connection. So you're touching the base of your spine and then striking. What you do with the other hand is fully up to you. You can adjust it any way you want. Now, obviously there's going to be a tuning in process. You'll take a bit of time to figure out each of the movements, how to torque and spin and throw that energy out. And you're also going to be in this space of thinking about what you're doing it, and then trying to maintain energy awareness. So you'll eventually go to the platform of continuous energy awareness while you do it, but you have to learn it first. Because the intellectual mind will take a part of the awareness, while the intuitive feeling mind and the spirit is what's left over. A beginner learning something new, all their attention is on how do I do this? So there's no space in the consciousness left for sensitivity and feeling. But then once you know how to do it, you go, oh yeah, I can do that now. I can tune into the feeling and just feel energy as you strike. So you want to recognize your learning curve, your learning process, to move from thinking to moving to feeling. So mental, physical, astral. Now, vital energy is obviously physical, but when you slow that energy down and deepen the hours you're putting into it, it becomes an astral substance. It becomes thicker, it becomes more body connected, it moves with your mass more comfortably, it speeds up, it becomes a different animal to what you start with. So the mind to the body mechanic to the feeling, until everything's centered in the feeling. So your mind intent fused into the feeling, your body movements fused into the feeling, and you're centered inside the feeling of energy. And you perform everything from that perspective. Okay, so those few exercises, and I've got a lot more throwing and power stretching exercises on my channel, so you can just have a look through them and just follow those exercises. From there, we want to go to how do we feel our partner's base? How do we feel their feet? How do we feel their core? How do we feel their balance? And in order for you to feel someone's balance as a first time, you've either got to be a professional fighter and just used to working with people's balance all the time, or you need someone to give you their balance. So what I normally do is I get my partner to cross the arms and then lift. And then you put your hand there and you stop them from lifting. And when you stop them from lifting, that you automatically feel their feet. And then you cross that tension line and you just lift and pull their feet up. And you'll feel the balance start to come out of the body. And because I'm not trying to fight you or stop you, you go, oh, that's the balance. So now you've got, that's the connection of the mind, the mental body, to the astral physical body. And there's an elasticity in that stretch that you're looking for, like, ah, there it is, that's the balance, I've got the balance now. You know what the mental body is, and you get a sense of what the matrices are, the connectors, because that's that elasticity between the balance and the body. You go, ah, that's what I have to intercept and interrupt. So if, let's say, I want to put energy in you, if I just touch, I can put some energy in, but if there's the matrix open, now I can fill you with energy. Now when you build the ball, with open matrices, you'll feel more, and that also allows me to pull energy from the environment, from these trees, through those matrices into your body. And it's those matrices that you want to slap in the competition. So we've got to find these matrices, and then once you've identified, oh, there's that matrix, that's what I want to hit, it just breaks protective chi and it goes straight through their system, internally to the external. Rather than external to external, we're going internal to external through that internal energy flow. All right, so I'll do it a couple of times for you. You stand up and cross your arms, you lift, and then I touch the base.
I feel it immediately.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this can be taken any direction you want. And all I need is to stop you from lifting. So there's your foot. Now that I've got the foot, I just relax everything up and open.
It's so subtle, but immediately you feel it, only from the feet.
And as soon as I have that, let's say you have a guard and you take a posture stance, I go straight to that frequency. Now, that would be impossible because you're a trained fighter for someone to do that. But because there's the space. So if, let's say you're doing BJJ and you want to tap someone out with an arm bar, you touch the setup of the technique, you open the matrix and you stretch their balance into that shape of them submitting. And when you do it quickly, the mind goes, oh, what happened? And then they're there in tapping going, how did I get there? Because the moment you open the matrix and you snap the energy through, their brain loses a moment in time. It goes, how did you do that? And to everyone else watching, it looks like the person just gave them their arm. Yeah. But to the person receiving, it goes, huh?
Yeah.
I don't get it. So touching this frequency is exactly what we're after. Okay, so I'll get you to do it to me. You touch my elbows. I lift, and now you stop me. Okay, now you look at the line of the lift, touch my feet again. Okay, now simply pull upwards, but more forward, in the direction there. Yep, there we go. Okay, and a bit more lift with your mind. There we go, it gives me more space.
Okay.
Good. Now touch my base again. Now pull me up and towards you. There we go. Good. And again, touch my base. Bit more, on down. I'm gonna feel my feet. Okay, there. Okay. Now pull my feet up. Open your mental space. There. See how it allowed me to fall out of my center? Oh, good. There we go. Now move me around in a circle. and find the edges of my balance. So pull me more forward, around, all the way through, around. That's it. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And when you find the edges of my balance, become familiar with that space. That's it. Now open up the whole circle at once. Touch my base, that space you just became familiar with, just open me into that entire space. There we go. And then that breaks my balance. Now there's a transformational skill with my resistance, my tension, and the way you relax and release me open. There we go, good. Excellent. Now what we want to do is, once we've established that, you've done that for 20 minutes or so with the partner. So you lift your arms up, I touch your bridge, and then I just relax that space open. Okay, you lift your arms up, I touch your base. And once I have that, I start opening without touching the base. Just go to that feeling. Once I'm in that feeling, now I've got potential for Fajin. If you push on me,
I'm not letting him move me. He's just moving. It looks so subtle. This is crazy.
okay, you push on me,
It's all the force I give you. It's like it's coming back to me.
yeah.
The
So what
more
I'm
I
doing
give,
is
the more
I'm
I go back.
feeling that gap, stretching into it, and the more you give me, the more Jin goes through. Now I can drop and add to it with my own mass, but for me to do it purely, I have to just stretch through that gap for you and feel your balance. Now this is what I've got to strike, this feeling. So if I touch, I'm touching that feeling and just putting that much energy through. If you put the amount of power you can generate through these slaps on that frequency, it'll be much harder for people to stay conscious because their protective chi gets shattered. There's an extreme vulnerability happens within a person. So you touch my base. Okay, I lift. Now give me some space and pull me up. Yep, that's it. And pull me towards you. Lift. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, that's compressing me. Give me space to open. There we go. Good. Good. Now what I want you to do is do that same thing, but touch through the gap and just sweep. And just touch my shoulder. Let's give it a line, so we'll maybe go this way, you face me this way, and you send me that direction.
Okay.
Okay. So use this hand to feel, use both hands to touch my base, open me up. When I'm floating, now just sweep that way. And it takes my balance off my joints and my legs.
So that's what you mean by de-root. You unground them.
Uproot, yeah.
They're lifted, and then they
and all you're doing is going through the matrices.
Yeah.
So
Physical, mental.
Yep. Just cutting through. You cut the root by cutting the matrices. Okay. So touch this arm. Touch this arm. This one can be up here, just in that position.
Yeah.
This is a feeling, a probe. Touch my base. Open me up. Now sweep through the feeling. That's it. And again, sweep through that feeling. That's it. And again, through the feeling. Okay. Touch my base, open me up, and then sweep through the feeling. There we go. And now I just push against you a little bit in some way. Mm-hmm. Now open me up, yield, and then stretch through me, through the feeling. There we go. And then we have the Fajin phenomena popping up. Okay, no, not yet. Open me up. There, I'm open, go through the gap, and then the reaction happens.
Yeah, you have to feel it.
If you push straight in, push straight in, now we're fighting each other.
Fight, yeah.
Open me. There we go. Now in the gap.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, so open gap, open gap. Okay, so we've got these series of exercises where we're going through feeling energy, moving energy, breaking balance. We have the throwing exercises in there. And obviously each one of those exercises you want to, 5-10 minutes, get it mastered. The next one, another 5-10 minutes, and so forth. So you end up with an hour and a half type of workout, and each time you journal and you tell your unconscious your improvement. Now, your journal is a dialogue between what you want, your unconscious mind, and your process of getting it initially. And so let's say you found my center of gravity, you found the matrix, and you relaxed your mind through it and the energy through it, and you moved me. You'd write in your journal, today I found Sifu Mark's matrices, I ran energy through them, and I uprooted him, and this is your description of those sensations. Now, what you just did is you told your unconscious, I've got that, I want more of it. It was important enough for me to write it down. And because you wrote it down, now it's engraved in your soul. The next time you go to do it, you just continue where you left off and get better. If you don't write it down, there's this thing where people have to relearn, where they go, now how did I find that? How did I do that? Because you didn't engrave it into your soul. So you write down your method, you write down the result, and I like to put a sigil of approval, a sigil of power, a sigil of mastery of something next to it to tell my unconscious, definitely give me more of this. And the next time I train it, there's more there, because my unconscious has billions of bits of data going through you continuously all the time. But you tell it, I want to feel more of people's matrices, then you start feeling people's matrices and you start seeing them and you get a sensitivity to their intention just because you invited it through your journal as a dialogue between you and your unconscious mind. So this way you can navigate your development process by journaling well. And people who journal well literally develop 10 times faster, if not more, in their skill, because they're confirming what they want and they're taking ownership of it, taking mastery of it. So you write down the results. Now, what I used to have is a little whiteboard, and I had a lot of them sitting around my training hall, and people just write down exactly what they're doing and how they're experiencing it. Now, let's say you're doing this with half a dozen people, and because you need some training partners, and you have half a dozen whiteboards, and you just wrote down, I felt the matrix is open, and I felt how energy passed through as I stretched my mind and energy through it. And the next person looks at it and goes, I can feel that. Oh, yeah, I was doing that, I just didn't know. And then they pick up on the frequency of what you just did, and they get it. Mm-hmm. Now, on their board, they might be going, I felt this tension in the person's body. And then when you touch the next person, you go, oh, yeah, I can feel that tension there too. So they just gave you an unconscious skill, and you gave them a skill. So we have skill exchange. Mm-hmm. And all these whiteboards are just sitting like that on the floor, against the wall, against equipment. So wherever you look, you see someone's whiteboard, and you see their growth, and you feel it. And when you feel it, you have unconscious access to it to develop the same skill. And because everybody in the room knows this phenomena is happening, knows this process is happening, they put out the intention when they write it, I want everyone to be able to feel this because I had that experience. Mm-hmm. And everyone who looks at it gets unconscious projection of, oh yeah, so it's a family of people growing together and elevating each other. You're not competing with your classmates, you're supporting and elevating and making them grow. And this family structure empowers everybody inside to skill share, develop, perfect. So let's say you're sparring someone, you hit them, or so let's say you're sparring someone, they hit you. For you, you should be looking at, oh wow, that's a gift. He found a weakness. Mm-hmm. This week, I'm going to fix that weakness. And the person who hit you is going, oh, I gave you a gift. I gave you something to work on. Mm-hmm. Not, I'm better than you and I'm competing with you. So this difference in psychology breaks the hierarchy structure and builds a growth pyramid. Mm-hmm. Where, let's say you have a normal Muay Thai gym, you have a hierarchy and everyone's competing with each other to be the best in the hierarchy. So in order for me to be better than this person, I've got to go there. I've got to suppress them unconsciously to be better and beat them. And the next person's trying to suppress and beat me, and everyone is suppressing each other. What that does is it builds a strong person to deal with that and fight through that environment, but it builds a very big ego in the person. And it builds strength through pressure adaptation and having a closed heart. Where when you do the opposite, you have an open heart where everyone's trying to help each other. When you compete with each other, it's greed.
Mm-hmm.
Let's spar. This is what level we're going to be sparring at. This is how much energy we're putting in, and you follow the contract, and you stress test each other to make each other better with that intention in mind. So you change clothes. You go from end of the class, you put on your healing clothes, and you do healing on your partner and do some releasing of their tension and their injuries. During the competitive phase, you're pressurizing them. You're the competitor. And during the power building phase, everyone's helping each other build power and skill. So you change masks, you change outfits, you become a different person for different segments of the training. And what this psychology does is it builds a bond between you and the people in that room that you're family. You know, you're tight. You know, if anything happens, they're there for you. If you're competing with each other, you might be tight with one person in the room. You know, you can't rely on those people in the room. There's too much unconscious agitation and competition. And in the long term, the most important thing in your life is your friends, your friendships. Now, everything in the universe is mind substance. The entire universe is mind. And mind substance is individualizing itself all the time. So you just look at this area where we're training. There's actually, we buried orgone generators all over here. So there's vortexes all over the place.
That's why as soon as I stepped in here, I told you there's a quality here. Yeah.
Yeah. We had some here, but they landscaped this and built this on
Really?
top. So they're underneath somewhere, or in there. We put a few. Around here, there's a few. But
It's a very tangible feeling.
Yeah,
As soon as you walk, it's not out there. It's literally as soon as you come in this area.
and it's a personality. It's an individual feeling of, oh, this park area has a personality to it. And the water in the lake has a personality. The trees have individualized personalities. People have individualized personalities. And the relationship between your mind substance and their mind substance is what expands your mind.
Mhm.
You have high quality relationships. Your mental space is large and you're happy. If you don't have any relationships, you most probably going to shoot up a drug and kill yourself. If you're lonely, that's what happens. People turn to addiction.
Mhm.
If they're happy and liberated and connected to their environment, they're always smiling. You know, there's a joy in their life. And the psychology of creating a good training environment is creating these high quality relationships with an intention of support from every person in the room. So that when someone in that group steps into the ring, it's not just them fighting, it's a whole group is fighting in spirit with that person. Mm-hmm. Look at the Gracies.
Yeah.
You know, when someone's going in the ring, they might have 10 people on shoulders walking in. You have the power of the Gracie family behind you. You know, it's not one guy fighting, it's a whole family fighting.
And it works. That's how you breed growth.
Yeah. And recognizing this psychology, how it works, the dynamics of it, and controlling your training environment has a huge impact on your growth rate. Mm-hmm. If you get it right, boom, you grow fast. If people are competing, it's like, I want to grow, but something's stopping me because someone's competing with you, it's pressing you unconsciously. So there's a camaraderie that is super important. The next thing, you want to chart your growth rate. You know, when you get a growth rate of, oh, I'm getting better, I'm getting better, I'm getting better, what does the unconscious do? It aligns you to train in such a way for the habit to continue. Mm-hmm. You establish a habit of improvement. So you've got to recognize, I'm improving. You've got to recognize what's causing the improvement, and you have to own it as a habit, and you'll unconsciously form more habits to grow. The unconscious does all the work. Once it understands, oh, I'm a professional competitor, I've got to get better, and I'm getting better all the time, getting more powerful, more sensitive, becoming a better human being, I'm evolving, I'm creating better relationships. My life is filled with love and compassion and good people around me. And that process of understanding and recognition, once the unconscious mind is on that critical mass of those energies, it just happens. You just look at your life and go, why is everything so easy? Why is it just so cool? It's click, 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 because you asked your subconscious to give you those blessings. It just does. It just happens. Now, when we go from our relationship to our unconscious and our relationship to the mind, substance, everything around us, we start moving towards a space of what else is there? What is spiritual growth? How do I evolve myself? How do I take myself from identifying everything as me, 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 to a non-self of having genuine care for the people around you and helping everyone around you evolve? So let's say you have a person that walks into your training space, and you might be a teacher, or you might be training in a club, and they walk in and you see anxiety on their face, and it's sort of like, connect to them, feel the anxiety and release it for them. You don't have to say a word. Just touch, release, open up matrixes, and would say, hey, do you want some healing? Come here. And you release it through touch. Now, that release that you did for them, unconsciously, that person, their unconscious mind is going, oh, wow, that's such a beautiful thing to do. I want to learn how to do that. And they want to do that healing in other people. The energy around you will start doing that for you. And the people around you will start doing that for you. So before there's a problem, people see tension in you and they fix the problem. And your own unconscious starts to neutralize things before they happen. So this developing these relationships, developing a healing ability, building a merit field. Every thought you have is a karma going out and the karma resonance coming back through the law of resonance. Every emotion does the same, every action does the same. And you go, what am I creating? What am I generating within people? What am I creating as a future through how I think, feel, and act? And when you journal those things and you think it out well, then you've got, spirituality is simply being a better person, evolving, getting the mind to become more concentrated, and being more helpful in your community at a base level before you start evolving the higher aspects of your mind. So you have precepts, how you live your life, your code of conduct, your code of with your brotherhood of the people around you, your code of how you interact with your community. You write down your code and you go, I'm going to live by my code. And these are the reasons why. And you're not following 10 commandments to be a good person. It's not about being good. It's about living in resonance with laws and disciplines that you create resonance with to live that way. So let's say a basic precept in Buddhism is truth. Thou shalt not lie in the Bible. And what is that? When you live in truth with how you look at yourself, how you look at other people, what you say, what you do, there's a unconscious reflection that goes, truth is important to you. We'll let you see truth. So someone lies to you, go, that's a lie. I can feel it, because you're in resonance with truth. Your bullshit alarm gets better. You're more sensitive. And then when you're reading dharmas and spiritual knowledge, when there's deep truth in it, it glows. And it goes, that's important. So the pearls in any book become very, very clear. That's why you live in truth. And each precept is a tuning fork that does something in the spirit to awaken spiritual capacity for growth. It's not about being a good person, even though it appears that way. So you look at thou shalt not steal. If you look at integrity and the idea that, okay, if I'm going to do business with this person, I'm going to give them a good deal and make sure they're really happy with our business interaction. So if I do a workshop, I make sure every person gets more value than that $5,000 they spent on the workshop. But their life has changed that much. The earning capacity is going up. Their creative capacity is going up. Their ability to evolve themselves and be happy is going up. And how valuable is happiness? So I ensure that the value for the time they spent and the money they paid far exceeds the benefits they're getting. And that those benefits are so great that it's like, okay, what happened to the surplus in that accounting? They got a lot more than they paid me. The universe balances it out with luck. Good things just happen. So you accumulate what Buddhists will call merit, and that field of luck just synchronizes and just good things are happening because there's such a disparity between the amount of money you charged and what they got.
Yeah.
They got so much more. The universe has perfect accounting. So you look at that thou shalt not steal as an integrity principle, and there's a book called The Science of Getting Rich, and you read through that and it gives you the karma law of integrity, and it goes, oh wow, this just works fantastically. The moment I started following that book, my money problems all disappeared. Now it's I keep more well into the six figures in different bank accounts, so I don't have to even think about money. Before I had that book, I had $700 in the bank, and it was like, I'm in Thailand, $700, I'm screwed.
That's me right now.
Yeah. So it's resonance with Science of Getting Rich, and that's just a principle of integrity. And once I understood that law and lived in resonance with it, money just started coming in, and within weeks, it was very, very fast. You have a rule about sexual ethics. If you ensure that every sexual interaction you have is ethical, decent, the person has good memories about it, the energy's good, there's a genuine exchange of love, there's a degree of sacredness in that interaction, then your sexual energy remains pure, your astral feeling and that person's astral feeling about you remains pure, your mind is clean, you feel good about it. If there's fetishes and negative emotions and intensity, and the person you're with, you didn't care for them, they didn't care for you, there's this karmic connection that just, you lose energy. You'll just basically mess up your energy field, and the long-term karmic connection is static and unpleasant. So, in Buddhism, they'll go, well, we got to have a sexual ethics. We've got to keep this really pure, keep this really clean, and have relationships that are not casual encounters, but quality encounters. And then they have the basic of not killing, of non-harming. And when you're in a thinking process of being harmful to others, your mental space contracts to your survival instinct. So your mind becomes very small, your emotions become very small. You reference everything to self, me, I. Where if you have a feeling of love and care for others, your mental space opens, your astral feeling opens, your body's more relaxed, and everything's, there's a non-harming energy. Birds will come close to you and sit next to you. Unfortunately, bugs also do the same, but animals will be around you and really comfortable because it's non-harming, it's comfortable. And then the last of the precepts is intoxicants. When a person takes ayahuasca or any so-called spiritual drug, they jump on a roller coaster and they can't get off until the drug's finished. So any experience they have, they can't just go back into that state of consciousness. It's only for the time the drug's in the body. So that sensitivity to what effects these things have on brain chemistry, and I've met people who tried ayahuasca once and their life was finished. So that one person came in 7 years after, they're still doing detox workshops and courses to try and get out of their body. And their energy field looked like they put their finger in a light socket. It was just like, cheek. It's like, oh, how can I help this guy? And I helped them a bit, but not enough, it's difficult.
They say asylums are filled with spiritual casualties.
Yeah. It's and a lot of them are. Yeah, definitely. And of course, alcohol. When the reason why alcohol is so nice for people to drink is that it neutralizes the matrices. It makes them relaxed, gets rid of their stress, and they feel, stress relief. The matrix between the mental body and the etheric body also neutralizes. And when you concentrate, so let's say as an experiment, okay, I'm going to concentrate every day on this tree and run energy to it and build a deep equanimous stillness. And you do it for, let's say, a month. And the stillness that accumulates underneath your mind and energy feels like, oh, wow, there's so much equanimity now. You're developing, your mind accumulates akasha from extreme concentration. And what allows you access to that is your etheric matrix, the matrix between the concentrated mind and the emptiness. And it reflects through your astral physical body to create equanimity. And so we experience it that way. Now you have one alcoholic drink or you go on a bender. Next day, put your hands up, concentrate on that tree, send some energy to it, and your mind will be all over the place. It'll be what happened. I had this beautiful stillness, had this equanimity, I had this connection to the forest, and it's all gone. And then you'll notice after a few days, a week, you starting to come back again, because your system remembers, but you've got to work to get back to that same place. So the person who's very sensitive to this, their growth rate's like this. With a person who isn't, they go up, they drop halfway back, and then they go up and halfway back. And you look at the person who's continuously up versus the half steps. It's a big difference over a year.
What about tobacco? A lot of people ask about that.
Tobacco, I hate to say this, it bugs me to my soul.
Tobacco.
It bothers me to all hell that there's nothing wrong with it. Energetically. You might die of lung cancer, but most Arahants in Thailand who attain Nibbana are addicted to tobacco.
I know. I've noticed a lot of people with energetic power. They're all chain smokers.
Well, you get short bursts of high concentration, but they don't have long concentration.
Okay.
So it becomes problematic.
Caffeine? What about caffeine?
No problem for energy work. I just stopped caffeine for a few weeks, and my relationship to Akasha deepened.
Yeah.
And about a week ago, I started having 1 or 2 cups a day, and then I have to pay attention more to get into Akashic trance. So it's like, oh, it is different. But when you're doing Qigong and energy development, caffeine gives you power, but you get static accompanying the power. So it's a trade-off. So it's good for Qigong. It's not good for deep formless meditation.
I see. Keeps your brain in that state.
So my rule now is 1 or 2 in the morning, wake up, enjoy it. It's a good antioxidant. It's good for your DNA. It repairs all types of DNA strands and problems in your body. It's super healthy. People get less heart attacks. All-cause mortality goes down if they drink coffee. And the more coffee they drink, the better. I've got Finnish ancestry from Finland. They're the biggest coffee drinkers in the world. And they did a bunch of research on coffee in Finland. And the more you drink, the less chance of a health problem. I go, I have to drink it for health, because to get to that 3 to 6 cups a day, 6 is really difficult. 3 is easy. 4, okay, but to get to 6, it's like I've got to start going way past midday to get in. I can have coffee before sleep and it's no problem.
Really?
That doesn't keep me awake. So people with coffee sensitivity shouldn't drink coffee.
That's me.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I drink 1 cup, I'm
buzzing
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it might be good to have that for competition, just to amp up.
But I'm sensitive to most things I put in my body. So.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So they have these 5 precepts, and they're not rules to follow. They're vibrational principles to understand, and you have to make your own rules. There's for a big part of my life, I slept on the ground with just a thin mattress, and so I'm inside the gravitational field. Now here it's unusual that the gravity feels almost 2 feet off the ground, the energy. But normal places it's 1 foot. In a condo it would be 8 inches. On wooden floors it's 1 inch. So being close to high thermal mass and being inside that field, you sleep very deeply. And if you can have some sort of grounding mat so that you're properly grounded, put some copper mat underneath your copper sheets underneath your sheets so that your humidity equalizes and goes into a grounding point, your body feels really good. So the Buddha said, I know sleeping on high luxurious beds to the monks. It had nothing to do with high luxurious beds. It had been ground yourself, and it works. They like to wear leather sandals because leather, the humidity moves through and it has more of a grounding effect, because it's always wet and it's humid and you're grounding yourself. These types of rubber shoes, this doesn't have much grounding, so you're isolating yourself. So when I come to a place like this to train, I take my shoes off. And I like to pour water on my feet and touch a tree. And then, I just feel that the chi sinks. I don't have to sink it.
It's a way different quality.
Just does it, yeah. So each rule that you make, that you base that rule on metaphysical lawfulness, and then you use a discipline to follow that rule. You created it, you choose to follow it, and you reap the benefit. Now, if let's say I was a Christian, 10 Commandments, I look at them, I read them, like, okay, I'm not going to steal. You don't get any energetic benefit from it. You go, oh, thou shalt not lie. Okay, I'll be good, I won't lie. You're not going to have more resonance with truth. I mean, read the Bible. I mean, it didn't work for them. It's full of weird stories. So the act of studying a dharma or a law, bringing your mind into resonance with it, and following it through understanding generates a reflection of truth for thou shalt not lie. The spirit wakes up a quality that allows you to practice well. So don't follow any rules unless you understand them, and then recreate them through your understanding for you, your application. And then use that as sensibly as possible. So if my girlfriend walks in and she's wearing a dress that makes her look like a muffin, it's kind of like, oh, truth, problem. What do I do? And she says, how do I look? Yeah, don't buy that one again, sweetie. You sort of have doesn't need to be said.
Yeah, transparency.
Yeah. And you find a balance inside that. So things that are mundane and unimportant, it might be better to tell a white lie for the karmic effect that that person's going to experience and have. But if you do it too much, you'll be putting a filter in front of between your unconscious and conscious insight, and you'll get filled with white lies. And they're cultural expectation type principles that come out. So when you write down your code of ethics, your code of honor, your precepts, your vows, you have a hierarchy of how important they are. So let's say you're a healer. Your vow is, I study and practice healing for the benefit of my patients. And when you make that vow, your astral body, which is not contained by time, has an intuitive sensitivity to every patient you're going to have in the future. And the study and the solution to healing those people appear now. You know it now. And when they walk in the door, I know how to fix that. Because your vow aligned your astral unconscious to those people before you met them. Because the astral body is not subject to time the way we think it is. So vows are something very deep in the soul. And if you're a teacher, you train for the benefit of your students. You study and learn something so you can teach it with an open heart and they can get benefit. So you make a vow, I study and practice for the benefit of my students. And that vow gives me incredible power to develop in such a way that when someone asks me a question, oh yeah, I already know the answer. I learned that a long time ago. Because of the vow, it powered me to alignment. So it gives you synchronicity. Now, some people say, oh, wow, you're really lucky. Oh, no, I just have vows that synchronize me to good things happening. And vows are very powerful. So you create your own vows. You write them yourself. You go, well, what do you want to achieve in life? And how can I benefit others in a non-self way through this vow to synchronize to thousands of people, a big environment, to community, whatever it is, to patients, to students you're going to teach. And how does that how does it empower you and synchronize your unconscious? So writing down your vows, and every year you want to make adjustments to your vows. So I like a vow as a yearly thing. Am I still in resonance with that? Yes, I am. It's still part of my process. Some vows are short term. I'm not going to indulge in this fetish of a food fetish. I'm addicted to pizzas and bad food, basically. And okay, I'm going to go keto. I went vegan for 5 years, thinking it was going to be good for my health. Terrible idea. My intuition was definitely not working then. Yeah, it gave me diabetes.
Oh,
how ironic. Yeah. Yeah. Went fruitarian and boom.
Fruitarian. Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah.
A lot of sugar in there.
Yeah. So you define your code of conduct. Now, the reason why this is so important is when you start building large amounts of internal energy, that internal energy is going to amplify you. If you put attention on your code of ethics, your ethics become strong. And when you're in meditation and the kasha is accumulating, the light of those ethics and the light of the non-dual reflect off each other, and that is a doorway through which higher powers work with you. If the door for higher powers to work with you are from negative qualities, then negative beings, higher archdemons, will work through you if you have high levels of concentration capacity in relationship to Akasha. So it mirrors. So you want to organize and get that fixed as quickly as possible so you get the right stuff mirroring through your experience. The last thing that is important is to look at what accelerates your development and what breaks your development. So good people, good training partners will accelerate your development. People that don't believe in your path will create unconscious resistance for your development. So you want to surround yourself with high quality people who are supportive and believe in you and have faith in your capacity to be the best you can be. If people doubt you, don't hang around them. If people believe in you, they're good people to hang around. Then how much resonance does your code of conduct and living have with theirs? How much spiritual capacity for growth do the people around you have? Some people, you go, yep, they're full. That's as far as they're going to go with their spiritual growth. Where other people, you go, whoa, there's huge capacity in that person. They're just going to go through the roof. You spend more time with that person, you're going through the roof. So you can see potentiality in people. And we unconsciously want to be friends with people with high potential. It's just normal. So you just find that resonance and nurture those relationships.
You have like a gravity almost coming towards them, you know?
Yeah, and locations, places like this, you're going to get a lot more development than being in a concrete condo doing qigong.
Yeah.
You know? One of the laws is you don't want to be the strongest energy in the room when you do qigong. Let's say if I go next to that tree over there that's got a lot more energy than me, and I stand next to it, it's going to lift me. If I go stand next to a tree that's got less energy than me, it's going to take energy from me to equalize. So there's law of equalization going to powerful forests to train. The forest lifts you. It equalizes you with the forest, and you open your mind into the space, and your growth rate's very, very fast and high. So you're always looking at what time of the moon cycle is best for training what. You know, when there's a new moon and it's you know, there's not much light, it's good for releasing. The matrices are thin. When it's a full moon, it's good for building power. The matrices are strong. And the magnetic waves are passing through you. In the morning, it's good for building energy, and sunset's good for releasing energy. And you look at the time of the day, the time of the year, the season. During winter, your body wants heat. So it wants high fat foods so it can heat and combust. So winter is a really good time to train fire element. In summer, it's really a good time to train water element. So you'll have more emphasis on different aspects of your training at different times of the year and the weather and so forth. And when you put all this on the wall and you map it all out, you go, there I'm growing really fast because I'm in this environment with those people doing that type of training. And over there, I didn't get any growth. Who was I hanging out with? What was I doing? Where was I? And you can very, very quickly define what works well for you and what doesn't work well for you by mapping those things out.
I had a personal question just because you touched on it. You're big on working with fire, air, water, earth, these elements. Do you just have an affinity for them because of the practice you've done on them, or how can a novice identify, oh, this is fire element, this is water element?
Okay, well, fire and water is electric and magnetic. So when you build the ball and you pluck the joints, the energy becomes more magnetic. When you expand the joints, it becomes more electric. There's your fire and water yin-yang relationship.
So fire is electric, water is magnetic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you go through the Qigong videos on power stretching, the electric and magnetic power stretching, you do that a dozen times. That's I got it. You know, the life force is electromagnetic. It swings. Now it's more electric. Now it's more magnetic. and the sensitivity and the spirit uh, lets you feel it, and then you know what fire element is, not water, in that context. The Taoist elements are different. You know, they have the wood and the metal, and they're very cyclic in phases and changing. So it's not just fire element as a vibration, but it's a phase of fire burning wood, or it's a phase of water on the earth making wood, and phases of change, and they put the seasons into it, the sounds and so forth. So they're different types of psychology. And there's a lot more metaphor in it.
Yeah, that's alchemical.
Yeah, yeah. Where fire, air, water, and earth is alchemical and literal. You know, life force is electromagnetic. The yin yang, it's electric and magnetic energy vibrating. And then air is the movement between them, and earth is it condensing. So it's very, very, very literal. When you're wanting to work with alchemy, in Franz Barden's second book on evocation, there's several spirits which are alchemists. So you need to go through the process, how to invoke them, how to learn them, how to make them your teacher, or create a relationship with them so they become your teacher and they teach you alchemy. All high knowledge isn't taught by people, it's taught by spiritual consciousness. So my job as a teacher is not to teach high magic, it's to teach people how to access their spiritual sensitivity to these levels of intelligence to learn directly themselves. So the sooner I make myself not needed, the better I've done my job. And that's part of the teaching process. Person goes to uni, doesn't spend their whole life learning from their physics lecturer. In a few years, and then they move on. And spiritual teachers are the same thing. They might be friends with them for life, but once your spirit sense is open, they're more like troubleshooting and refining, but the whole spiritual hierarchy is there for that. So it becomes just quality friendships in the end. Okay. Do you have any questions about it?
No, I mean, you touched on a lot of things. I've been wanting to sit and talk with you for years now. You know, I think there's thousands of nuggets, golden nuggets in there, you know, to go back. I think I'm going to post it all in one session, and we'll have little bits and pieces here and there that really isolate what we're talking about.
Yep.
But it was an honor. It was an honor talking to you.
Lovely. Well, you've got my Telegram now, so any questions, throw them in there, and I'll just post a video on YouTube about it.
Will do.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Seafood.